What's up, family, and welcome back to the channel for another daily dose of progressive thinking, people centric, and life affirming conversation. And today, I think we have a pretty good one lined up. This has been on my mind for a while. It's been something that I don't want to say wrestling with, but it's something that I've been trying to navigate, and in real time. You've seen it on this channel. And it's this the idea of confronting harmful beliefs and the utility of it. Obviously, I've kind of made it a thing, or made it my thing rather, to highlight the harms of superstitious beliefs, religious superstition, and Christian beliefs in particular. Um, because I was a Christian pastor. I was a Christian minister. I was a Christian praise and worship leader. I was a Christian youth pastor. Hell, I've done almost all the positions in the church that you could do from the charismatic perspective. I've had quite a few titles. I've been apostle. I've been prophet. I was evangelist for a while. It's anybody's game at that moment. But yeah, so I've been sharing some things that number one, to help others kind of get some insight. Number two, to help others who have kind of lived through it to be able to breathe and says, "Ooh, somebody else knows what's going on." And then number three, to kind of help us all get better insight and start really strategizing on how we can help move our world forward. That's the thing you're going to hear me constantly talk about because that's really my aim at the end of the day. At the end of the day, my aim is to play whatever part I can into helping us get a more progressive society all the way around. And so when I'm looking, and primarily because, like, no, I've been the victim of superstition. I've been the victim, which I don't like using that word a lot, but I've been the victim of religion. I've been the victim of Christianity. I served it willingly. I became its servant, its ambassador in chains. And I know what the cost is, and not just for my life, but I saw what it was costing others. And so these are things that we really have to deal with. We really have to confront. But somehow we have to find a way to balance confronting harmful beliefs without demeaning people. No, I'll admit it's a tightrope to walk, but we're going to talk about that today. Today we're talking about why we must fight, but also how we must win. All right. So if you haven't already, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that alert notification bell, consider joining, supporting, or connecting with this community, content, or channel in any way that makes sense for you. And then last but not least, check out our merch. We have some really dope stuff out there, man. Cups, stickers, hoodies, you name it. And we have books. You can see a few of them on the shelf, and I have a new one that is available for pre-order now. And it'll be available for release on, what is it, Black Friday? Yeah, that's that day. All right, so let's jump into this conversation. And this is actually a conversation that I've been having in real time with other people. Some in my comments, some in messaging, because many people are interested in how do we find that balance. And there are some who are not as interested. There are some people who think that I don't go hard enough, and I'm just like, oh, okay. Which in most cases, I let those people know that, hey, I'm not interested in sensationalism. I'm not interested in having a villain. I'm not interested in having an enemy. Um, I I don't. I guess I tend not to put humanity on the pedestal that other people do. So, like, to me, we all just space apes on a floating rock in the middle of fucking nowhere. Um, and so nothing really shocks me. But at the same time, I also realize that we're in this together, and that the only way we're going to ever be able to move forward is we're going to need more and more people who take that more global view, global understanding. I don't want to call it a higher view, but it's a different view, and the difference is higher. Now let me stop. But so let's just kind of talk about it a little bit. We're going to talk through the utility of confronting harmful beliefs. So we'll start. The biggest thing here for me, right, when it comes to challenging direct beliefs, because there is a part of us that hold on to this ideology that beliefs are personal. Um, and yes, some beliefs are personal. You know, beliefs you have about other people are not, which is why I often remind people that religious beliefs are not personal beliefs. You know, technically, like when you really understand the definition uh, and the context of religion, religion can't even be individual. Religion requires a collective, you know, it's not a religion of one, you know. So, just for that reason alone, religion can't be a personal belief, it is a social belief, you know. Hell, it goes deeper than that because religion isn't what you believe about yourself. It's what you believe about the world that you live in. It's what you believe about the people in that world, you know. So we've often put religion in this safe space where that's a personal belief. So we don't want to mess with that, you know. Don't that's somebody. But if it was just your personal belief, I believe that Jesus is my Lord and Savior, and I believe that when I die, I will spend eternity with him, and I don't believe anything else about anybody else, fine. Then it's a personal belief. If you believe that Jesus is supposed to be everybody's Lord and Savior, and anybody who doesn't want a Savior is evil, then that's not a personal belief. I hope that makes sense. All right. So, because it's not a personal belief, I don't think it deserves or warrants any protection. You know? Nope. Nope. If it's a social belief, if you have a belief about me, it does not deserve protection. It deserves to be called out, you know? So we've kind of put religion in that safe space and just kind of said, you know what, it's people's personal beliefs, and everybody has the right to their personal beliefs. And yes, you do have your right to your personal belief, but we do have. But again, we've already highlighted these are not personal beliefs; these are social beliefs, which means these beliefs are going to impact how you interact with other people. These beliefs are going to impact how you treat other people, and in these cases, we don't have to wait until somebody acts on it to call out the dangers of the belief, because then even the problem becomes when people do act on those things, and we can clearly see the connection, the correlation, and the causation, that is the causality, that you can clearly see between the belief and the behavior. Even when the people act out on these things, we say, oh no, these people are just misinterpreting this thing. Well, if this thing can be misinterpreted this many times this way, then it's not a misinterpretation. You know, like, damn, slavery was misinterpreted for a long as fuck time. You know, killing your children, that shit was misinterpreted for a very long time. No, it's not a misinterpretation. You know, it's something that is lived beyond its context. It's a relic that we're treating like reality. And that shit is dangerous. So no, so I do make it a habit, and I do make it a stance that harmful beliefs, regardless of what the individual believes about them, should be called out. And they should be called out, and they should be demeaned. They should be criticized for the sole purpose. Well, we're going to go through a few purposes. One of those purposes is preventing harmful actions. We shouldn't wait till people act on their negative behavior, or for people to act on these negative beliefs before we start saying, "Oh, maybe it's time to have some questions about it." No, no. The moment we realize, like, oh, there's a belief that's okay with God tempting people to kill their kids. There's a belief that's okay with people treating other people inhumanely if those other people identify differently. That should be enough to say, oh yeah, this is not good. we have to call this out, you know? And I mean, all you have to do, man, just say it wasn't the Bible. Just say it wasn't the religion you attach yourself to, whatever religion anyone may have, you know? And let's say it's in high school and you find out, oh, these kids have attached themselves to a new video game that has them all out there, you know, trying to um, trying to force each other to play the game. And whoever doesn't play the game, they're now telling them that they're not real people. Like we immediately know, okay, this is unacceptable. Like we need to start having conversations about this like right now. You know? So we have to challenge dangerous beliefs directly. And by doing that, we can prevent harmful actions that stem from those beliefs. If the underlying ideology is dismantled, then the motivation for harmful behavior diminishes. You know, treating only the symptoms allows the harmful belief to persist and potentially resurface in other forms. Addressing the root cause leads to more sustainable change. And I say this for the people who just say, well, no, let's just wait till something happens. I'm like, no, let's start. That's just treating the symptoms. And even then, you're just punishing. At that moment, it's just punitive, right? Which means it's not actually solving a problem. It's just making us feel better that this person got their just desserts, whatever the fuck that is, you know? And so we punish the person and then we feel like we got a victory. But I'm like, no, we haven't done anything to acknowledge the system that is still creating this, right? There's a system here that's creating this. Shouldn't we now be interrogating this system? From a social perspective, like I consider how many people in the Catholic Church have been arrested for a certain crime. Well, probably not as many as should, you know. But at what point, you know? And I know we're doing it, but like we can do more. This isn't me saying, which I know I criticize the secular community a lot, but that's the thing. If I'm gonna be a part of anything, I'm gonna criticize the hell out of it because that's the only way we improve. I'm not here for the circle jerks. You know what I'm saying? I'm here to change the fucking world. Like let's go, let's do the work. But no, this isn't a criticism because we secular community's done a really good job of calling out um, the hainosity. I don't think that's a word. I like adding osity to stuff. It's just really cool. Like I do thoracity. That's one of my favorites. Um, but the heinous nature and heinous behavior acts and all that stuff of the Catholic Church, secular community's done a good job of calling out. I think probably the next step we need to take is now, which I think I do remember some people talking about this, is just really highlighting how the beliefs themselves of that institution can support things like this. You know, how it can support the behavior, how it can support the covering up of the behavior, how it can support the feeling, the need to acquiesce to authority. In the cultural Christian household that I grew up in, that was, it was constantly impressed that you do what adults say no matter what. And I was just a different kind of kid. And I was just like, nah, bruh. Mm-mm. But I don't know, like at a very young age, like I'd start realizing that like adults were stupid. And I think that led me to be depressed for a long time. Like really, I'm like, damn, y'all all stupid as shit. And you like imagine coming to that conclusion at like 4 or 5 years old. You just like, damn, like life don't look good from there. I think I just solved my depression issues. That's why I was depressed from like 5 to 32. Like it was a long time. It took a while. Like even immediately after deconverting, it wasn't just like, oh, a weight lifted. It like, oh man, which I've talked about that in other videos. So you can go down that rabbit trail. So, and it's not just confronting, when we're confronting harmful beliefs, I'm not talking about just like, oh, that belief is bad. Oh, how could you believe that? Oh, no. I think I've done a good job of, I think, I'll pat myself on the back, but I think I've done a good job of kind of exemplifying some really creative ways of confronting harmful beliefs by calling them out objectively, you know, and highlighting the harm, not necessarily the foolishness of the people who believe them. You know, I only go there when they get real foolish, right? But no, because and the main reason I don't really spend my time highlighting the foolishness of the people who believe them is because all of us who've ever believed them, such were we. We were the fools right along with them at one point. Now I know there were some of you who were lucky enough to not ever partaken of this particular Kool-Aid, and good for you. Good for you. I'm very proud of you, and I mean that like, damn. I'm actually a little jealous of you, but that's why it's just like there's just no use in it. This is when you look at things from a sociological evolutionary perspective. This is a thing that has been a part of us for a very long time, and so to honestly be surprised that anybody believes this is just kind of being, you're being either dishonest or dumb. And so I don't know, and I don't mean dumb in a derogatory way, but I guess dumb is a derogatory word. But I needed another D, dishonest or dumb. So hey, it works. But no, like it shouldn't be a shock because this has persisted for a long time, and the numbers, while our numbers are growing, yay, um, the numbers have been, the odds have been on their sides for a very long time. Again, because this has been an evolutionary process for us, you know, which I've talked about. We go from this place, and again, not linear, but this is, we have to talk about things linear, and I have to call this stuff out because sometimes every now and then a jackass will say, "Well, it didn't happen exactly like that." No, we don't have the time to talk about how it exactly happened, motherfucker. Do you have 100? Do you have 120,000 years to talk about social evolution? No. So we categorize things and put them on a line for the purpose of conversation. You know, I'm shocked that I have to explain that shit. No, I'm not though, not really. But so but we kind of go from this early stages of animism slash totemism, and then and when I say nonlinear, because there's still of us who are slightly animistic, or I mean there's still cultures that are animistic and that are totemistic, right? There are still cultures that are polytheistic, right? And even though the emerging culture is atheistic or non-theistic or whatever, that's the emerging culture. you know obviously there's still cultures who are monotheistic, and there's still cultures who are polytheistic, and there's still, so the progression is the evolution of availability, the evolution of the statistically significant increase in acceptance or an adoption. Yeah, the adoption rate, that's good. So because typically when we're looking at, when we're making things linear, what we're looking at is what got big when, you know and so at one time, animism and totemism was the most prevalent thing among the human species. And then polytheism emerged. At one point, it was an emergent thing. And it had a high adoption rate, significantly high. And then monotheism showed up. And then it ends up getting a high adoption rate. Now, the high adoption rate of one doesn't decrease the growth of another. Not necessarily. Those things are not connected like that. All right, I'm going to talk about statistics too much. But the big point of confronting harmful beliefs is actually promoting rational thinking, and that's why when we confront harmful beliefs, our focus should be the number one, the utility of why am I doing this? You know what I'm saying? So I'm not doing this to make the other person feel bad. And I think that's one thing, like, we have to, like, sometimes, like, are you really wanting to help the person, or are you wanting to shame the person? Or are you wanting to do a little bit of both? You got to figure that shit out. But my goal is to promote rational thinking because I do want to help other people. And I've been very honest about this from day one. I want to help other people because I got to share this world with your ass. You know what I'm saying? So I want you to be as healthy as you can because we have to share this planet together, you know? And again, like we got a lot of shit to do. So we need healthy bodies, man. Like just straight up, we need healthy minds and we need healthy bodies because we got a lot of work to do. We got a lot of work to do. You know, the more of us who wake up to the realization that there is no maker, there is no governor. There's nobody out there who has the whole wide world in his hands, and if it is, he's a long fucking way away from us. You know, so we are kind of out here on our own. You know, and so we got a lot of work to do, and we got a lot of shit to figure out. So that's my motivation. It's like, no, I don't want you to stop believing this shit just because I want you to be like me. I don't give a fuck if you're like me or not, which that's one of the things that I do kind of caution people about. Like, get out of this bandwagon shit, you know? Um, Sometimes, and I love using the word tribe. But we become so tribalistic in so many things that I almost don't like using the word tribe because it's almost like we're always looking for a way to us versus them instead of realizing, no, this isn't me helping. This isn't me helping them. This is me helping us. You know, we. It's like they're not sick. We are sick. You know, that's how we have to begin to understand this. We need them to be well for all of us to be well. You know, and so, which is why I did the video that I did yesterday on understanding the cognitive impacts. And this is why I share that type of information, understand the type of battle that we're dealing with, and really what's at stake. And not even like what's at stake in the future. I'm showing you why you're having or why we're having the resistance that we're having now, because some people haven't worked those muscles in so long that the muscles you asking them to use ain't there, you know. So we have to find different ways to point this stuff out to them. But by confronting improper beliefs, we promote critical thinking and rational evaluation of ideas, which benefits individuals and society. Actively dismissing false or dangerous beliefs helps curb the spread of misinformation. You know, you got to do it one person at a time, but you can't stop at one person. And then you're like, dang it, I hate to use this word, but you almost got to take on that evangelical spirit, which is not really evangelical. That comes from somewhere else. So let me use a different word. You gotta take on that community organizing spirit of each one reach one. You know, each one reach one, each one reach one, and just keep reaching one. Keep talking to somebody and get insanely curious about what it is that they think, what it is that they value, because that's where your arsenal is going to come from. It's not going to come from what's important to you. You screaming at them about what's important to you isn't going to make a dent, and it's not going to be a drop in the bucket, man. Because you're talking about what's important to you. That's what moves you. If you want to figure out what's going to move them, you have to figure out what's important to them. See, some of us putting the cart before the horse, right? So we have to draw the line of distinction between demeaning beliefs and demeaning people. You know, we can't keep getting so riled up that we start doing the exact same things, or I won't say the exact same things, but we start behaving in the same character as the people that we're accusing of behaving in that character, which was like, these people are dehumanizing people, so let's dehumanize them. And it's like, I don't know if you understand what you're doing there, but you're creating a vicious cycle. And I'm not saying that's not a way, but what if there was a better way? Would you consider it? What if there was a more productive way? Criticizing or demeaning a harmful belief focuses on the idea itself, not the inherent worth of the person holding it. And again, this is also about kind of what I said earlier about making sure we're dealing with the root and not the symptoms. The people holding the beliefs are the symptoms of the persistence of the belief. The persistence of the belief is the root. That's what we have to. That's what we have to attack. That's what we have to demean. Individuals are capable of change. So by separating the belief from the person, we leave room for dialogue and for growth. And then you also realize that, like, they got them, some of them, when it comes to many of them, when it comes to the areas that are particular to their belief, are going to have muscles in their cognitive area, and I'm using muscles metaphorically here, in the cognitive domain that they have not used in a long time. So you're going to have to help them work that damn muscle, and you can do that by hitting them with truth and shit. I mean, that's what I do on my videos. You'd be surprised how many poor fellas have come back and reached out privately and said, "Man, I'm sorry for the stuff I said on your page." You know, I'm now at that point where I think I may be deconstructing. And every single one of them I treat with grace because that's the whole point. But I've also been very resistant to being anybody's voice because I know something that happens, and we've talked about this in some of our Sunday sessions. Something that happens when people leave religions is they've been so conditioned to need somebody to lead them that they still participate in a practice that I call shepherd seeking. Somebody has to show me the way. And the work that I prefer to do is to encourage people to start doing the work to figure the way out on their own. And this is why I'm constantly telling people you have to respect people's journeys. I've never said you got to respect people's beliefs, but you do have to respect their journey, you know, because that's the only way they're going to get their autonomy. I'm fiercely resistant to telling people, no, just trust me. No, don't trust me. Especially about you. I don't know you. I don't know enough about your life. I don't know enough variables. Yes, you can sit down with me and talk to me for 5 hours, and I still wouldn't know nearly enough information about your life to actually share something with you that would be substantive. I could share some stuff that would be helpful, sure. I could even share some things that could be valuable, but without an intimate understanding of your life, no. You have the best view of your life, and you're going to have to learn how to trust yourself, and you're going to have to learn how to figure this shit out, and you're going to have to learn that trusting yourself doesn't mean believing that you're always going to be right. It means trusting that when you get it wrong, you'll do the work to do better, you know? But so, yeah. So people are capable of growth, and I've seen it. People are capable of change, but the goal is to focus on the harms of the beliefs, because I promise you that's going to. I don't want to say I promise you because I don't know what it's going to do for everybody, but for somebody, it's going to make an impact. And the thing is, it's an ethical imperative to oppose beliefs that promote harm, discrimination, or dehumanization. It is an ethical imperative. This is why I'm not moved by when people say, well, why are you talking about this? You should just not talk about this. Nope. If something is harming people, it is an ethical imperative to talk about it. It is an ethical imperative to oppose it. It is an ethical imperative to criticize it, to demean it, and to call it out as inhumane. And that's what I shall do. Demeaning dangerous beliefs can help protect those who might be targeted or influenced by such ideologies. You see that? This might be unpopular, but I am equally concerned for the people who will be targeted by these ideologies and the people who would be influenced to accept these ideologies. Because in both cases, from my humanist perspective, both of those parties are being harmed. You know? So that's why it's our prerogative to call this shit out vehemently. Beliefs that advocate for violence, hatred, or supremacy of any type inherently demean the value of human life and equality. Such beliefs sow division and conflict, harming the fabric of society. History shows us that unchecked, harmful beliefs can lead to atrocities, genocide, wars, systemic oppression. We're, I want to say we're reliving it, but the thing is, we've never stopped living it. You know, this is like, man, like when people are surprised, I just be like, man, you must lived in a really nice place. Because I've lived all up and down the East Coast. I'm not surprised by much of anything, you know? But actively opposing dangerous ideologies helps prevent the repetition of past mistakes. But again, that word is actively opposing. And that's why I am grateful for organizations like Freedom from Religion, because that's one of the work they're doing. They're actively opposing. Every time they see something, they're calling it out. And I remember, like, because I knew about them. And it's interesting. I didn't know about Dan, but I knew about them. But kind of like knowing about them, like you know about the ACLU, you know, like I knew about the ACLU. I knew about Freedom from Religion because living in Alabama, you heard about them a lot because they were always like telling Alabamians, "Hey, you can't do that. Got to stop that shit." And when I was younger and a Christian, I used to wrestle with that. Like, why would they be doing that? You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't always get it, but I could always slightly understand. But it was a wrestle for me. But I am very grateful for the work that they're doing, and so they definitely need more support, and we need more organizations out there like that. We need organizations across the spectrum. You know, we really need a global assembly of organizations. Together we can. That's really that, like, that's one of my life mottos. I have a lot of mottos. Like, I literally in my drive, there's something called like the Martin family sayings, because I have so many, like judge nothing before it's time and stuff like that. But together we can is one that's been close to my heart for about a decade. Pamoja Tunawita. What was that Swahili? I think so. But yeah, together we can, and that's my ideology. As a people, there's not too much that we can't do when we're working together. And honestly, it don't even take a large number of us. Um, when you look at, okay, I'm going to get into statistics again, so I'm going to stop before I do. But the big point is, big doors swing on small hinges. That's that preacher talk, but it's still good. That's still good. And it's accurate. It's accurate. You know, it's the small strokes that work together to make the masterpieces. See, that's that preacher stuff, but it's accurate. It's accurate. You know, big doors swing on small hinges. Just you get a small group of people working together. What was soul food? Mama said, you take these 5 fingers by themselves, they can't do very much. But you pull them together and they can strike a mighty blow. You know, I don't know if I said it like a direct quote, but if you saw the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But it's accurate. You know, we can actively oppose these dangerous ideologies together. But also understand that actively opposing the ideologies also means creating. It's not just talking about it. I mean, that's very helpful, but it's also creating systems, creating engines, creating processes, creating organizations, i.e., community, that makes it easier to oppose, that makes it even more comfortable to oppose, even makes it unnecessary to oppose because people just come in and hear critical thinking all the time. Oh, what a beautiful day. Let me stop. I almost started singing. My, oh my, what a beautiful day. What song was that? Dippity doo dah, dippity day. Or was it zippity doo dah? Who cares? All right. So, unequivocally dismissing dangerous beliefs establishes clear societal norms about what is acceptable, you know. And this is a game we're already playing, so we might as well play it with these beliefs. We're already telling people what they can smoke and what they can drink. Why not tell people? And when let me do it this way. We're already telling people what's unhealthy in every other area of their lives. Hey, cigarettes are dangerous for you. We're not criminalizing them for it, but we are telling them cigarettes are dangerous for you. We're not telling stores they can't sell cigarettes, but we are telling you that cigarettes are dangerous for you. Except in California, they can't sell menthols, and that like, oh crap. I gotta go back to California. Okay, never mind. You're learning too much about me. I'm just playing. But no, I'm serious, but I'm just playing about you learning too much about me. Um, but no, we have to get comfortable saying, no, this is not healthy. We have to get, and I know that that's something that we don't like to say, but no, the writing's on the wall. This isn't pseudoscience. This is real science. This shit is not healthy. But like, replace Jesus with any other fictional character, and it will be like a no damn duh. If somebody was walking around here believing that Clifford the big red fucking dog was their Lord and Savior, you'd be like, oh no, that shit is not healthy. No, if a grown person was walking around believing that Santa Claus was real, you'd be like, oh no, this shit is not healthy. So, no, like, we don't have to play that game. One of these things is not different than the other. They all are part of the same made up. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they come from the same party, bruh. They're part of the same fraternity. Okay? That's how that shit works. They come from the same part of the make believe, superstition, play, pretend, whatever you want to call that shit. You know? And so no, grown-ups pretending is not healthy unless you is acting. All right? And there is a lot of that going on in churches too. But that's a whole nother conversation. All right. So yeah. So yes, we should unequivocally dismiss the beliefs. People say, don't dismiss, no, dismiss these motherfuckers. They're not true and they're unhelpful. Okay? They're not true, they're unhelpful, they're harmful. What more do you need? That's the 3 strikes. You're out. If it was a black person, you'd be trying to put him in prison. Ba-doo-ba-doo-boom. Puh. Yes, 3 strikes. That's what I did there. But no. Oh man. Public condemnation can deter others from adopting harmful ideologies. Because I mean, like, man, the DARE program did such a good job on weed that I was terrified of weed. I was like, no, if you smoke weed, you're gonna smoke crack, bruh. It's the gateway drug. Oh, I was convinced because they did such an excellent job. It's horrendous that they did this shit. It's irresponsible that we allowed this shit to happen, but they did such an excellent job publicly condemning marijuana as the gateway drug. We need to start publicly condemning superstitious belief as the gateway drug to dehumanizing others. Superstition is the gateway to violence. Superstition is the gateway to oppression, you know? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about it. Demeaning harmful beliefs can also validate and support those who've been affected by them. You know, it's time for the secular community. Like, this is like, oh man, do you remember the Me Too movement? You know, and even though that evolved into a movement, that phenomenon has been around for a very long time. For a very long time. It's a phenomenon that happens when one, and of course we know that that spectrum, that pendulum swings both ways. I was looking for that word the other day, pendulum. But yes, there's a phenomenon that happens when we find out that somebody, or when someone is found out to have harmed several people, you know, and evidence of it surfaces. It didn't just start happening recently. This has been happening for as long as I've been alive, for sure. And some say, all of a sudden, somebody who had that experience that never felt safe to say anything now feels safe to say, it happened to me too. You know, because they feel validated and supported by the fact that somebody else exposed it, you know? And then it kind of spreads like wildfire. And often it does swing to the other side. The pendulum does swing the other way. And there are people who never had an incident at all with that person who decides, hey, I want to get on this bandwagon too. He touched me too, Your Honor. You know, you get that other pendulum. The beautiful thing about what we're trying to do is that would actually be a good thing in our case. If people who weren't even harmed by religion just, I was harmed by it too. Yes, tell your story, baby. Tell your story. Obviously, I'm being facetious, but that is kind of funny. But the big point is that by publicly calling out these beliefs, publicly exposing them as harmful, calling them out for the inhumanity that they represent, can validate and support those who have been affected by them and could not find the voice for themselves. And us helping them find their voice makes our voice louder. You know? Then we go from being the midget on the mountain to being the giant of Gargantua. And I guess that reference, the D clause of that reference only works if you saw Interstellar. But I mean, there's no giant in Interstellar, but I needed a G, you know. You get it. Okay. So, and it signals to others that standing against harmful ideologies is both necessary and supported. You know, like that's the signaling. Because let me prove it. Or I can't say prove it. Let me demonstrate it. Let me give an example that demonstrates it. It isn't necessarily proof. And I do want to be careful with that word. We want to be careful with words like evidence and proof, please. But I do want to show you somewhat of a demonstration. In December, I started watching, because in December I made up in my mind, all right, I'm done being silent. I'm going to be loud and I'm going to be clear, because I got tired of people trying to force me to come back or retreat, or they just think, well, if we just ask him to pray over the food enough, maybe the Holy Ghost will get back in him and bring him back. I got tired of that bullshit. So I said, nope, I'm going to make this shit clear. I, DaranteLaMar, am an atheist. And I'm proud about it. I'm not ashamed of it. I am not going to act like I should be ashamed for being the one without the imaginary friend. Mm-mm. Nope, not doing that shit. But that was my decision. That, just, yep, about to let everybody know. Pretty much is my family. But what leads to that decision is watching Tim Mills interview people, tell their stories, which is how I come across Stacy and Dee. And I end up coming across Brady Goodwin, who was a Christian rapper, a part of Cross Movement, which was a group who I used to rock to their music, like used to know the lyrics and everything. You know what I'm saying? And I found Ichabod. I found Brady's channel. And I'm like, oh man, he's actively, as a Black former Christian, standing up against the harmful ideologies. That helps signal to me that not only is this necessary for people other than me, you know what I'm saying? Because I had already made a decision it was necessary for me. No, I can't do this anymore. I got to stand up against this. But seeing other people do it also signaled to me that this was necessary for others. This is necessary for others. Others need this. And that this work is supported. Since Brady has launched his channel, since Stacy and Dee has launched their channels, since Tim has launched his channel, I wonder how many more people have launched channels. You know? I wonder how many more people have launched Discords. I wonder how many more people have started getting involved in their local communities and doing meetups, because you got to start where you are. Like, that's the thing. I think anytime someone asks me where do I start, I think what they're really asking me is how can I get there fast? And I'm like, the only way you're going to be able to get there fast is together. That's the fastest way you can get there is together. Like, I know there's a proverb that says you want to go fast, go alone. But in today's society, if you want to go fast, you're gonna need a lot of people, unless you're already rich. Now, if you're wealthy, you can go pretty damn fast. You know what I'm saying? But most of us got 99 problems, and money is one of them motherfuckers. You know? But the thing on this planet that is always more powerful than money, always the most powerful form of currency is people. Because we're multi-currency. We have time. We have energy. That shit is powerful. you know but yeah, so you when we're publicly exposing and actively opposing harmful beliefs, we are signaling to others, number one, that if you've been harmed by this, you are valued and you are supported, and we are here to validate your experience. And then number two, you're signaling to others that if you're out there and you can speak up and you want to, you have a community that's ready to support you. You know. Now, the biggest thing is, because not only am I talking about why we must fight, I'm also talking about how we must fight. Why and so I want us to. I am always mindful of avoiding counterproductive outcomes. While demeaning harmful beliefs is important, doing so in a way that doesn't entrench individuals further into those beliefs is absolutely crucial. We don't want to be counterproductive. All right. We want to tailor the approach to be both firm against the belief and open to dialogue. And this can be more effective in facilitating change. Now, and when I say open to dialogue, I am not talking about with trolls. Don't play that game. Don't do that to yourself, right? When I'm talking about open to dialogue, I'm not talking about dialogue about, well, be willing to see that this belief is not harmful. That's not dialogue. No, when I it, we already know. We don't have to play this game. Like, yes, there are things that are unknowable. There are things that are unknowable. Whether or not this belief system is harmful is not one of those things that is unknowable. There are things that are subjective. There are. Whether or not a belief system that actively dehumanizes other folks, no, that's not subjective. No, it's harmful. It's harmful. So the dialogue that we need to be open for is when people are curious. Oh, that's good. Is when people are curious about how we come to the conclusion of the belief being harmful. And this is what I talked about, what I mentioned earlier in this video, of saying the best way you can help them is to find out what's important to them. And if when we're actively exposing actively exposing and opposing the harmful beliefs, and of course definitely building community. Please build community. Please build community. You don't even got to give me credit, bro. Just build community, right? But build community, and as you're doing that, they're listening, they're hearing. When they're curious and ready to dialogue, they're gonna come to you, to your community, to your server, to wherever, with their questions. That's how you find out what's important to them. You know. It's there's an old saying. I think it was attributed to Napoleon Bonaparte, but it was iron fist, velvet glove. You know, iron fist, velvet glove, and it's basically just this idea of learning how to be firm but soft. You know, and that's a thing. That's a thing. Um, it's not one that I use a lot because it has some other implications to it, as well. But it kind of works here. We also have to understand the psychological considerations, right? So direct attacks on beliefs can sometimes cause individuals to become defensive, strengthening their attachment to the belief. And this is why I prefer not to, when I'm exposing harmful beliefs, I prefer not to expose them in an individual. So I'm not having an individual conversation and saying, you believe this shit, which I've done before. Like man, this was back in 2016 or 2000. Yeah, it had to be 2016. And it was in my house with a musician friend, and he started asking me about something, and he was like, "I heard you don't really believe in the Bible anymore." Because, like I said, I wasn't very vocal about my atheism, but people were finding out some things, and I was like, "Yeah, I don't, not in that way anymore." And he says, "But like, why?" And I was like, "Well, I don't see any. There's a lot of things that I don't see representative of good." And so we ended up talking about Noah's Ark, and I was like, there would have been babies out there that God would have drowned. Do you think that would be good? And he said, if God did it, it's good. And and I told him, I said, I don't consider that good. And he was ready to fight me, like fist fight. Like I had to put old boy out my house. Yeah, yeah. I've had a few people try to fight me over the years. It always just end up with them just kind of getting hemmed up and me walking them out. All right, you can go home now, because I ain't got time for that. But yeah, but no, he was really, literally ready to fight. So I prefer not to engage the beliefs with them directly, but learning from how we learn and learning from how we engage information. It's putting the information out here and then pushing this idea of community. And of course, like I'm not the founder of that idea. There are other people doing community. There's Oasis. There's Sunday Assembly. There's some more though. There's always somebody doing something. There's the UUs, but they're a little too woo woo for me. And I've told y'all before, I'm not against the words. I'm not against spirituality. So when I say woo woo, I'm not like, oh, they're woo woo because they're spiritual. I'm I d- the, Spirituality doesn't bother me unless it doesn't really have a definition. And if it doesn't have a definition, then I'm like, so it's just whatever I want to say it is. And I'm incredibly averse to shit like that because I don't want to go back down that hole. You know, I don't want to go back there. Um, but the UUs, they're out there, and they are humanist. Um, they do consider themselves secular, but they do a lot of the woo spiritual, like they do crystal healing sometimes, and but they are. Mm, I don't say they're inclusive, but I can't use that word in good faith. Um, they're inclusive of different like beliefs. That's the better way to say that. And I'm not saying that they're racist, but in saying that they're inclusive probably wouldn't be the best way to approach that. Yeah. Now, as far as the other communities, for the other ones, I'm gonna tell everybody right now: get your music right. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what we're doing, but let's get our music right. Let's it like nah, we shouldn't be failing in music, and we shouldn't be treating music like it's not important. Like I see the way some of us do it, and I'm just like, man, if you're gonna be doing, the weekly community, and you're gonna have music as a part of that, like, well, y'all know me. Do the work, do it right, do your best, do the most. Like, don't turn it into a social club where it's just you and your friends hanging out. Make it attractive, like, or otherwise, it's not really a solution. It's just a resource if you need it, you know. And those things tend to fade. And I'm not talking about that from a place of personal preference. Trying to trying to help. But and honestly, I'm not saying anybody has to change what they're doing. I will be experimenting with that. So we'll see, you know. I may experiment it with it and then to be like, damn, people don't like this at all. And be like, damn, Oasis had it right on point, you know. All right. So while opposing demeaning beliefs, it's important not to dehumanize those who hold them. This is how we maintain our ethical integrity. We must always remember, or at least from my perspective, it's important to remember that the whole purpose of calling out the harmful beliefs is to help people, and the people we want to help are includes the people who have the harmful beliefs, which is why I've spent a lot of time on this channel not just highlighting how people who have these beliefs harm others, but also highlighting how people who hold these beliefs harm themselves and how these beliefs are harmful to people who hold them. And so much of the behavior you're seeing from these people are the symptoms of holding that harmful belief, you know? And I think once we can understand that, we can kind of start approaching this with a little more critical and constructive compassion, you know? I think we have to really understand the damage that has been done here. Um, and like we got to launch mass education campaigns. Oh, that just sounds bad. Mass community campaigns. Like we gotta launch it. We got to do more than just, you know, we got to do more than just raising money, you know. And we need more local. We need more boots on the ground, you know. But that doesn't happen until people in local places start meeting up regularly and then start discussing ideas that they can do in real time in their community. Upholding the dignity of all individuals aligns with principles of humanism, even when challenging other people's beliefs. Investing in education that promotes critical thinking can reduce the prevalence of harmful beliefs. And investing in education isn't just about what we do financially. I think I've talked about this in a few videos this week. It's also about what we do at our time. It's about how we offer ourselves to our communities. If we know and again, and of course, it's what we do on YouTube as well. And YouTube is a great place to do this stuff. But let's also work on doing things at our local libraries, you know, that don't necessarily have the atheist attachment. you know. So that way you can target it towards children and families are okay, and you're not talking necessarily about beliefs or anything like that. You can just talking about critical thinking, critical inquiry, curiosity, science, STEM. These are the things that because you'd be surprised how many people who departed from their religious ideologies, and it had nothing to do with the religion or any perceived harm that they felt. You know, it had everything to do with them learning a hobby that gave them a better understanding of the world. And they were just like, "Oh, I guess that's not true." Um, t- two uh, two fields that this happens in a lot is like computer science, computer programmers, because there's something about programming and having to understand. Well, first having to build the muscle of taking bigger things and breaking them down into smaller tasks so that they can be more efficient and so that you can understand what the fuck you're doing. There's something incredible about building that muscle, and then also just having to understand how different variables can impact how a program functions and how it executes. It gives you a little bit of insight into humanity, primarily because the computer is somewhat designed um, in in a mimicry of what we understood about ourselves. Because I mean that's always what we've been trying to do with computers is make a better version of ourselves so it could do the work for us. Our fascination with computers is it ultimately comes from slavery, wanting somebody else to do the fucking work, you know. So this is why you don't get a computer until slavery ends. Ba-doom. All right, sorry, but but yeah, there are many ways that we can start doing. There are many ways that we can start making progress. We can call out these beliefs. But by calling out these beliefs, we need to remember that we're calling out these beliefs in order to promote critical thinking, not to promote new beliefs, not to just, hey, nobody should have any fucking beliefs. It's just that we should all be responsible for our beliefs. You know, believe responsibly. Beliefs should be justified, you know. And if those beliefs are harmful, then they have to be called on the carpet, justifiable or not at that moment, you know. I don't care if Thanos is coming here and you believe he's the Lord and Savior. We got to stop that motherfucker, you know? And I mean, and literally, that's how we would respond, right? Like if Thanos was real and was on his way to the earth and there were several Thanosians on the planet who was in support of Thanos and was praying for Thanos to come here, we'd consider that shit treasonous. And so now you think about that in the terms that there are literal hundreds of millions of people who are praying for their God to destroy this planet. Think about that shit. Like, take that shit out of its safety bubble glass or whatever the fuck, and think about that. That shit is frightening. It's terrifying. No, we're the ones who keep letting this shit thrive. No. So, and of course, I'm going to probably say this in almost every video I do. Building inclusive communities can address the underlying factors that contribute to the adoption of dangerous ideologies. I think that's what we have to be mindful of. Again, I think that's where the work needs to go. You know, I mainly share this information, and I have the why I do this video on my channel, but I mainly share this information because I'm looking for other people that are just as passionate as I am about actually making a difference and actually building community. You know, I'm grateful for everybody who's watching. but I am super duper grateful for everybody who's looking for a way to help, you know? And all of us are helping. Like, I do want to be clear there. It's because of you who are watching that we're able to find the people who are able and willing to help, you know? So it's all help. It's all help. Like, because of y'all right now, our community on Discord is growing, our Sunday sessions are growing, and we're actually starting to build some type of infrastructure. We have people all over the globe on every continent except Antarctica who are connected to this channel, this content, and this community in some way, in a way that makes sense for them, you know? And the more we get, the easier it is on everybody else, because then we can share the load. Again, it's that together we can, you know? This is how we keep rising. This is how we be the bridge. You see how I threw all my models in there at once? All right, so let me wrap this up. Improper and dangerous beliefs that promote harm or devalue humanity should be unequivocally dismissed and opposed. Demeaning such beliefs serves to protect individuals and society by preventing harm, affirming values, and encouraging change. Addressing the root cause reduces the likelihood of harmful actions. Upholding principles of equality, dignity, and respect for all is absolutely paramount. And while respecting the individual's capacity for growth, challenging harmful beliefs can facilitate personal and societal transformation. It's important to distinguish between demeaning a belief and demeaning the person holding it. By focusing our opposition on the belief itself, we maintain respect for human dignity while firmly standing against ideologies that threaten it. Challenging dangerous beliefs is not only justified, but necessary for the well-being of society. Doing so with clarity and conviction affirms our commitment to protecting humanity from ideologies that seek to harm or divide. While it's important to be mindful of our approach to maximize effectiveness, we must not hesitate to oppose beliefs that demean or endanger others. And so, to everybody out there who's already doing the work and who's already calling out these beliefs in a way that is still seeking to preserve human dignity, I salute you, I applaud you, and I am out here in the fray with you. And to every one of you out there who have suffered dehumanization by the hands of anybody, please know we are getting better together, and we're doing it for you, for us. Damn, that was good. Man, I've enjoyed this one today. Thank y'all for hanging out with me. Man, this was a sober conversation. This was a sober conversation. I hope it's giving you something to think about, giving you something to chew on. Um, yeah, because it's a heavy one. But we have work to do, and we're gonna do it, right? We're building community, god damn it. You know, we're changing the world. They used to have that, what was that, Honey Bunches of Oats commercial. And they said, we gotta feed America. You know, that's us right now. You know, except for we gotta feed the world. We gotta feed the world. You know, we got a lot of work to do. But the good news is big doors swing on small hinges. This is why I'm so excited. Even at our little small numbers, big doors swing on small hinges, man. And right now, like, I'm starting to feel that swing effect. Starting to feel that swing effect. And I don't know if you've ever seen a phenomenon like you walk into a room, you know, and you open one door and then another door closes because of the wind effect, you know. That's what I feel like. We are opening the door to a brighter tomorrow and closing the door on our own dark ages. You know, we call the dark ages, you know, this period went around the middle century. There's something I'm trying to say there. But I don't think we've gotten out of the dark ages yet. I think it's probably just within just within maybe the recent century or so, that we've just started to see the light. And it is a bright and beautiful light. And I am determined to see the fullness of that light, you know. In the words of one of America's greatest heroes, I may not get there with you, but I promise you that we, as a people, will get there. Damn, why is today so deep? I gotta go. I love y'all so much. Thank you for hanging out with me. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that alert notification bell. Consider joining, supporting, or connecting with this content channel or community in any way that makes sense for you. And then, of course, check out our books, man. We have dope books. They're behind me. Type my name in Amazon, Google, type my wife's name in. You're going to find our books. I do have a new book coming out. It'll be released on Black Friday. I gotta find a better way to say this one, but the name of the book is Black Non-Believer Next Door, and it is about my life, specifically the first 2 years after deconverting. And I'm telling you, there's a lot of information in there, so it's gonna be good. All right, that's all I have for you for now, and until next time, man, keep rising, stay progressive, and if you can, stay beautiful. I'll holler at you later.